السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
everybody.
الحمد لله. شاب.
السلام عليكم.
غنيم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
How are you all?
الحمد لله.
How are you, Dr. Shaya? Good morning.
Good, thank you. How are you? How is everyone?
We are doing nice. We are doing nice.
Good to see you all.
Same here. Same here.
If I may, Dr. Shaya asked us to enable everybody to share their screens, and we did. So now everybody can share their screen. So prepare your material. She will ask you to share.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready to start? Get going, huh? Dr. Abdul Munim, you are recording, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes, very good. Okay, perfect. Welcome back, everyone. We are missing one person today. Otherwise, we should be here. And this time, we will shift the focus from the asynchronous to synchronous material. Okay, one half of the preparation, planning, all of that is completed by you, and we will review some of your samples today. And also we will look at what the best way to keep students engaged in a synchronous setting. When they are with you, how do you engage them is the main focus today. We have looked at the design of the flipped classroom before, asynchronous and synchronous. Synchronous is among the asynchronous and synchronous. Asynchronous is rather easy compared to the synchronous one.
Before you start, can I say something?
Yes, Dr. Hassan, please.
Yeah, unfortunately, I worked very hard on the assignment you gave us, and I was unable to upload it. And
no problem. You can share it today. You can share it today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's why I enabled the sharing option. If you had difficulty, we can talk among others and see how they are uploading, and they can help you figure it out. And also you can share with everyone today, and that way they can all see your work and be able to comment on it, give you feedback.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, that's in the plan for today. So today's agenda is in-class student engagement, review of asynchronous assessment is what you would do. Asynchronous assessment that you have assigned either as an online quiz or in the during the synchronous session that you plan to do, something that you would be doing to assess their preparation. Okay, so that is what you would be doing. You have to see how they did it, how they did in their assignment, and talk about it in class. That's what we call as instant feedback. All right, so instant feedback is where you say, yes, you have understood the content. All right, So this is instant feedback on this is where you say instant feedback happens twice. One on asynchronous assessment, you have to say you have done well, or this is the part you didn't do well, and let's go over it. So that's how you start the class when you are with the students in a synchronous session. All right. Mini lecture where needed. Okay, mini lecture. This, I'm going to stress on this. You cannot lecture all over again. We have provided the recording. You shouldn't be lecturing. If you lecture again, what happens? We will talk about that. All right. And then you would be using active learning strategies. This is the most important piece here. And what kind of active learning strategies can you use? I know I may suggest some, but you may have other ideas. We are going to discuss all of those. Okay. So pair share is one, clickers, team-based learning, case-based learning, project-based learning. These are some I would be using, but you probably have others. I may bring in Jeopardy. Some of you may have used it. If not, we can talk about what you can do. All right. Then synchronous formative assessment. So this is activity combined with assessment is how I do it. Okay, it's not just activity. They can discuss, they can learn again, but there should be another assessment embedded during the synchronous session. All right. So that is where it is the higher order application, analysis, integration of Bloom's taxonomy. So this is what I call as the higher order of Bloom's taxonomy. All right, so this is our goal. And then once you keep them engaged during your synchronous session, assess their knowledge, you also should go over the assignment, provide instant feedback. Okay, so this helps students know how much they know, how much they do not know, and then they can come back with more or better preparation or feel good that they are doing well in class. Okay, so this is our focus. And then once we understand this thoroughly, then I would let you share your pre-class work. I have organized them in slides. I will be pulling the slides, and then if there is a video that you want to brag about, if you want to show an assessment that you're proud of, we will let you do that. And that way others can provide feedback. Okay, are we good? Let's begin. This is where the assignments for your lecture is all given to students. The lecture content in the recorded form or reading form or the slides or problem sets, all those in various combinations you may have already prepared, given to students, and they're preparing from your content, and now you want to meet with them during a session. So you gave away your lecture, now what? How do you keep them engaged? How long is your session typically? Is it 1 hour? Is it 2 hours? Is it 3 hours? What is the normal duration? I know it varies. What is the normal duration?
55 minutes.
55 minutes. 1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour. What about others?
Two sessions, separating by 10 minutes of rest, 50 minutes, and then 10 minutes rest, and then 50 minutes.
You
I
have
think
2
the
hours.
regular time, yeah, 2 hours.
Wow, so some of you have 1 hour, some of you have 2 hours. Any other, no,
I believe, but ma'am, that from the previous experience, we can take 1 hour session, but if you are talking about real engagement, it's very difficult to engage for 1 hour. What I have realized from the experience that hardly 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes, usually the students are 100% engaged. Then their concentration level goes down after that. So in between, you have to bring some triggering activity or break to refresh them, then to continue.
how much time do you have in total?
Overall, the time what we usually for class is 1 hour we are keeping. Yeah,
What?
but yeah, but true engagement I'm talking about is they are engaged truly with the full concentration is just hardly 40 minutes.
Oh, I mean, if they're engaged for 40 minutes, you have done an amazing job. You know that. Human attention span is approximately what? You all know this. 7 to 8 minutes. You have exceeded that. So I want to be in your class. Basically 1 hour, 2 hours is typical. Now I have a question for you. If you are given weekly 3-hour sessions, right? Your course is a 3 credit hour course. Let's say you meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday, however you break it down. Let's say you're supposed to have 3-hour contact with your students. Okay. So if you have assigned some material for them to prepare, how much time should it take? And how much time would you take during your synchronous session? Let's plan that. So your asynchronous, how much time are you budgeting? Asynchronous, okay, time and synchronous time.
For a synchronous time of 1 hour, 3 to 4 days preparation time is good enough. That will be my opinion.
So 1 hour of synchronous time.
Yes, 2 to 3 days asynchronous time duration given to students should be sufficient. Maybe maximum 4 days.
No. In our colleges, if I teach a 3 credit hour course, it means I am with the students for 3 hours in a week.
In a week. Okay.
In a week. So that is how we have to engage students. That's like
But that will be time management. That will be time management, not an ideal time given to the student. Yani you are giving only 2 days per lecture, 2 days time prior preparation.
No. I think we are not talking about the same thing here. What I wanted to do was I'm going to use the stop share and I'm going to use the whiteboard so I can use, talk about it better. Okay, so here, what I want to do, so the course is 3 credit hour. I mean, 3 credit hour.
3 credit hours for lectures, yeah.
Is where usually it is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. So if it is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have 50 minutes with the students. And then Tuesday, Thursday is where 1 hour, 20 minutes. This is times 3. This is times 2. Do you see what I have done? So this is how you calculate. I mean, if it is 4 credit hours, it's a different math altogether. Okay, so given that, what I would do is my pre-class assignment, I would call this as asynchronous. I have already given them a good 30-minute approximately lecture in the form of recording.
Right.
Plus all the other gadgets like reading,
Reading assignments, maybe.
practice question, all those are extra. So I already used their, assigned them 30 minutes, whether they take 30 minutes to look at the lecture, whether they take 3 hours, whether they take 3 minutes, or whether they take 0 minutes. I'm not counting that, and I am keeping them in class. This is synchronous. I am meeting with them 3 times 50 minutes. So they may ask you, they may tell you that we are using their time more than we should be. Do you agree with it or no?
Yes, doctor, they may say so.
Yep.
They may argue that we are using their time more. So for me, first day 1 out of these 3 days, day 1 is where quiz over the material I have given. All right, first I give the quiz, then I review the quiz. That is what I call instant feedback. And then Q&A is where I'm going to answer their questions if they have any on the content. So I could say this is mini lecture, review of content, answering questions, discussion, all of that. So that's 1 hour. Day 2, they come in. I ask, do you have any questions? Because we did 1 round already, there would be less, but there may be a question or two. Then I do a group engagement, group activity. All right. So then they would take the rest of the class time here for group activity. They submit, and we don't have time to review that. Third meeting is where I'm going to review group activity. That is my instant feedback. When I say review, that is just an excuse to talk about the topics, right? If there are options given, I would be like, okay, why is it not correct? Why is it correct? Expand, expand, expand. So I would happily be keeping them engaged for a good 30, 40 minutes, just reviewing the group activity. And then I would have another Q&A. This is like that week's work is now solid. We have done 2 formative assessments, 2 instant feedbacks, 3 Q&A sessions, and any mini lectures I have given based on their questions. So I have not let them go freely. I have kept them engaged all 3 hours that I am supposed to. I am also giving them this lecture, 30 minutes plus the practice questions. So this is about 1 hour, let's say. Their preparation time is 1 hour. If they argue that I am using their extra time, what am I supposed to say? I'm asking you, am I using their time extra, or am I supplementing them with more material so that their preparation, their engagement, all of that is going to help them? So, okay, go ahead, Hiba.
If they focus with you all the 3 lectures, after that they will not need any time to study. Actually, they are supposed to be in all of the information, all of the objective, all of the intended learning outcomes has been performed well with them.
Exactly. So they don't need any more.
I think it's like that we reverse the studying process. First they get the lecture and then study. Now we reverse it. I think all of these 3 hours, it's will be just like we are studying with them.
Very good. I like your argument, and that's exactly what we are supposed to tell our students. No, we are not taking any of your extra time. So you could, Dr. Tariq, do you know him? Dr. Tariq has planned to put a guideline of flipped teaching, like what we should tell students, what faculty should do. So in that guideline, what you could do is justify the time that you're using. If there is any question, that way you can pull that and say, no. Okay, I'm going to take another page here, break it down. So in a typical lecture class, lecture style, the 3 credit hour time, right? 3 hour, how do you feel? Go in, day 1, lecture. Day 2, lecture. Day 3, lecture. Boom, done. So this is what you do. So students, you may provide slides and reading, as a good professor does, right? You may give them, okay, there are slides you can look up, there are readings you can look up, or this chapter is what you have to study. But the student who has attended all 3 lectures will have to go home, reorganize their notes. That's study time, right? So reorganize notes, go over content on their own. So how much time does it take? We don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours. So this is what you have to show. Breakdown, make a table. If you were in a lecture class, what would happen? If you were in a flipped class, what would happen? Really, you're not demanding any of their extra time. So this is what you have shifted. This is what we call as asynchronous material in a flipped classroom. You assigned it in the beginning, right? And you're not lecturing now, you're engaging students. So you're actually helping students learn repeatedly. And I really want you to see how many times I have repeated this 30-minute lecture. How many times, right? Once they look at the video, then they take the quiz, then we review the quiz, then the question answer session, then another question answer session, then a group activity, review of the group activity, yet another Q&A. All right, 6 to 8 times we have repeated it, so they should have mastered it by this point. So this is the argument I want you to use if anybody asked you.
In fact, we have converted their sleep-directed learning into directed self-learning in the medical education language, I should say.
Right. So absolutely right. And I want you to be thinking about it like, we just discussed, so that there is absolutely no confusion that you're taking their time away or not letting them have a break, etc. So I do this math. If anybody asked me, I'm not going to go unnecessarily. So now the main question for us, you have given the lecture, how do I keep the students engaged? If you go and stand in front of the students and are planning to re-lecture, that's a disaster. The students may ask you, I already went over your lecture, you're wasting my time. And they're bored now. No, why would they listen to your lecture again? If you're planning to lecture, that's not the plan you want to use. Okay, very simple. So what will you do with the time you have created in the classroom? What will you do? So engaging activities, group activities are part of the engaging activities, interaction between the instructor and the students. Your presence, okay? Instructor presence is priceless. priceless. You are there. You are not lecturing, but you're there. Even just you being there makes students feel that they are secure, safe. They can ask you for help, right? So that is the atmosphere you have to create. Okay. So again, imagine yourself. You have given the lecture. I have told you not to lecture again. What would you do? Right? Imagine now it's all Zoom. You ask them to come, and how do you start the day? You have 60 minutes to keep them busy. What would you do? Okay, so now we have to think about in-class activity that is synchronous. Must consider what type of activity. You can say, can I do individual? Can I do group? It's left to you. You can plan either way. Your goal is to engage students. Okay, so for me, it's an individual quiz right away. Poll everywhere. That's what I use, but you probably want to use this before class to see if they are prepared or not. If you have shifted it before class, how do you engage them during class? What would you give? Okay, you may start off by saying, do you have any questions about the material you were assigned? Very simple, straightforward. Okay, so then you make a list. This is your whiteboard. You would say question number 1, 2, 3, etc. So then what? You would have to say, okay, this is like the entire lecture I have to give. This question is like, talk about cardiac cycle all over again. That's pretty much repeating the whole thing. What does that tell you? If you have given a lecture on cardiac cycle and if they asked you to talk about cardiac cycle again, how does it make you feel? Should you be disappointed? Should you be excited? What is your thought?
I think, ma'am, I'll not be disappointed. I will definitely be excited if some students are asking to repeat the things about the topic which we love. But at the same time, I will relook at the material which I have posted asynchronously. I will review the material, what I have. So next time when I'll be giving them material, I may have to modify it.
Oh, very good, very good. Well, I would. Anybody else before I talk about it? What would you do?
Yes, I think, Shai, we can start with mini lecture, getting the main points and pre-class activity, and try to clarify and to solidify the information for them at the beginning of synchronous activity.
So you call it mini lecture?
Yeah.
So
just rapid revision about all pre-class activities or assessments.
So you would, if you had 20 slides, you would go over all 20 slides?
No. The main theme or the major ideas about the lecture, not all slides. It will consume time, so saving the time, it will be meaningless. I am trying to save time for discussion, interactions, peer interaction. So if I went through all my slides again, just repetition, it will be waste of time. But just if I feel they didn't get well or digest well my material, I will go through fast through main items or main ideas about it.
Okay, so good. Other thoughts?
Yes, me, please.
For me,
Okay, there are two of you, one at a time. Please
Okay.
go ahead.
Please go ahead, Dr. Hassan.
Okay, on my side, what I would start, usually I will summarize what I have given from the previous class in less than 5 minutes, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. My idea is to get students connected to what we have discussed previously. This would be my point why I bring that introduction, 2 to 3 minutes, to make students, first of all, to draw their attention, and from there, to connect with what I'm going to start today. This would be my approach.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, I know we have more answers here. Please go ahead.
Yes, I think we can ask students at the beginning. Hello?
Uh-huh.
Yes, we can ask if any difficult or if they cannot understand some of the slides or any difficult points we have to clarify at the beginning before. Or we can ask one of the students to summarize and explain what he understood from this topic.
So basically this one here, summarize, is what you're saying, right? Am I right?
No, not summarize, ask about any difficult issues.
Any topics that are unclear.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Other suggestions, thoughts?
Dr. Chaya, in my experience, if a student asks that he needs complete revision of a topic, I will start a discussion in the class itself. I'll stop the current topic. Usually this happens when I'm starting a new lecture. I'll ask what have they got from the past lecture. Is there any difficulty or anything? And then we continue with the story for the next lecture. So, but if somebody asks that he has not got anything in the complete lecture, I'll start discussion in the class by asking how much we have got. Let's go step by step. So I'll ask the student itself how much major concepts or points he has understood, or he has understood the story, how much, or where he is not able to understand things clearly. And then we'll put it in the class, discuss, maybe he will get clarified there, or we'll arrange some other session for him or for the student for that topic particular. Or maybe if it is a small part of the lecture, I'll immediately conduct a mini lecture there, a small concept or topic or part of the lecture.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are too many issues with too many people, then I'll reorganize the lecture.
Yes, yes. Very good answers. Very good answers. So any other thoughts? Yes, Mona?
Yes, doctor. Maybe if they ask this question, that means they didn't prepare well in asynchronous. Yeah. So maybe I asked some else student to make like other discussions. What if one of the student will answer this question? So they will discuss together to answer this question.
Discuss together. Okay. Other thoughts?
I have started thoughts. I have an example of what should I call it? A very practical case in my class.
Okay.
Where one of the students is handicapped, not handicapped physically, but he has limited hearing or hearing impairment.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, how would you comment in such a case, in such situation? If it happens to you, what would you do?
That's a difficult one, a challenging one.
Yeah.
For anybody, pretty much in any type of setting. And this takes extra work from you for sure. And we have to accommodate students whenever there is such a need. I would go extra mile to meet one-on-one and all those other things we have to do. Assessments are given outside. extra time has to be given for the assessment. Those are exceptional cases. I do get them once in a while. And whether you lecture or whether you use flipped classroom, whatever it is, they are going to need some additional help. University provides some assistance, like there is a special place where they can go take their exam that is proctored by somebody, not me. All I have to do is to send them the questions. Stuff like that are there, but you still have to go a little bit more. This is when, you know, that student needs help, we have to help, is how I look at it. Yeah, it takes some time of you and some others also, and the university has to provide support. There is a lot of you know, other complexities that we don't have to get into, like legal and whatnot. So we just have to support them as best as we can. Yeah, this is a deviation from the normal setup. How it depends on the individual student you're dealing with, right? There are different types of accommodations. Slow in exam taking, you know, some say anxiety in taking exams, so we need extra time for them. So they show some medical proof that they get stressed out when they're taking exam. How do you prove that? I don't know. I just don't want to even question all that. I say, if you need extra time, that's possible. Moodle can do that. Blackboard can do that. So we just have to help them, but not question at all. That's, you know, that's our job, is how the university sees it. So any other thoughts, any other questions about what you would do to the students working? Yeah, Mohammed?
Yeah, maybe I suggest first to make mini lecture, but also we can use group discussions or group learning strategy to make group. One of them, or yeah, you know, some of students will be unprepared well, but others will prepare well. So together they can change idea, they can learn each other through group learning strategy.
Mm-hmm. So I'm extremely proud of all these answers, and they're all simply amazing. Just on the dot is what I would say. You can do any of these, and these are all great approaches. So I'm really happy that we are talking like this, and everyone has a solution of their own. There are ways of doing this. Think, pair, share. Now, because we are in a remote setting, you may not be able to ask the students to sit next to a student and ask questions, discuss things. But in a real classroom, you could have said, you two talk about the content that I assigned and discuss what was easy for you to learn, what topics were difficult for you to learn. Just this informal 5-minute discussion where students have to discuss, that was hard, this was okay, I didn't understand this, I understood this. This is all they have to talk about. And that's where, if a student had not gone through the material, how embarrassed he or she would be to say, no, I did not learn anything from the lecture. So that's not practical, but that's one approach. That's what you're saying. Discuss, allow discussion between students, right? So that's good. And did not prepare well, that's why they're asking you in class. Students are very cognizant. If they have not prepared well, they are already like insecure, and they won't come to class and demand you to go over everything again. They may do it one time, but they are now feeling very guilty, right, that they haven't done it. And if they asked you to go over, they may think that I can go back to them and say, what part of the topics, I assigned you didn't understand. So this may not happen commonly. You think that they're asking because they didn't prepare well, but they may do it once, but not repeatedly, because then they know that it's not good for them to be covering it in class. Okay, so yes and no is how I would say here. Any topics that are unclear, this is always a good way to start the day by saying, what topics can I help you with? Lecture if needed. That depends on the topics. Sometimes you may have lectured in the video in one way, but the topic may require you to summarize it in a different way. Let me ask you this. Some of you may teach blood clotting cascade, so that is a complex detail, many new terms and details that have to go in, and there are pathways. Although I lecture, students are still not very sure if that's exactly how they should learn. And then I would tell them, this is a difficult topic. I'll be happy to go over the cascade one more time. But here, my explanation is not like pulling my lecture video, but I am explaining like I'm doing with you. I have the whiteboard. I have step by step, either going backwards or forward, however I pick. If I want to show the blood clot, the fibrin strands, I may start there and say, how did we get fibrin strands? Go backwards, and different pathways that we could pick and choose. So revisit it in a different way to make sure a difficult topic is explained thoroughly. Okay, so I know I brought in cardiac cycle. I think we have talked about it enough. You probably are tired now. What about immune system discussion? T cell mediated, B cell mediated immunity. Those are complex details. The storytelling. So many different elements are involved in the T cell mediated, or just talk about what happens in COVID. If you were talking about COVID, it's a virus that is in the body. How does it invade and how does it expand within the body? How does the body respond to this viral infection? What happens over time? Why is the B cell activation going on eventually? So that's super complex. You probably explained it as best as you could. You want to do your best. In your video, you have explained thoroughly, but then you also want to do it one more time in a different manner, in a summary manner. But students would really adore and appreciate, write down everything, because you're saying it differently, because you are helping them understand or connect the dots. I would say that connect the dots. So they have understood some, but you go in there and help them reorganize it. They are familiar with the basic concept now. The complex details, it doesn't hurt to repeat. It's not re-lecturing. If you are re-lecturing everything, it's not good. If you're saying what are B cells, what are plasma cells, those are basic details, right? Where they are made, that's all covered. You want to say, how is it activated? What activates a B cell? I think that's where it becomes more complex. You can start there. Correct? So that type of detail is where it doesn't hurt to explain. What it also tells students is that you like what you're doing and you are a good lecturer. You're also demonstrating your skills in a nice way, isn't it? You're not taking that component away. And you know, you as a teacher, we want to be talking to students, lecturing. And now everything is taken away and you feel helpless. Oh my goodness, I'm not able to lecture in class. No, you can do that in a selected way is what I would do. Connect the dots by giving them the summary, or, you know, you said it in different ways: summarize, connect, mini lecture, a lecture if needed, not complete lecture. And you said if they don't understand the entire lecture, if the entire class didn't understand, you're going to revisit your video and then know that there is some issue with that. The topic may be too hard. You may have to simplify it even further, right? So those are all things we would do naturally. That's who we are as teachers, and we want to be able to do that. But remember that as a normal routine, you don't go and repeat the same factual details in front of the students again. That's all I'm saying, okay? If there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves, there is no point in going and saying there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves again in the classroom. It's done. And you may have said in your video, among these, there are sensory, there are motor, there are mixed. Those are all factual details. You're not going to repeat them. 1 is called this, 2 is called this. That's all over. There's no reason for you to repeat. What are you going to be repeating, if at all? Sensation from these parts probably is affected by this condition, whatever that condition is that they're lost, right? Why should this patient be given this medication or this surgery or this loss of function? What causes? That's where you really have to stress. Look, this nerve is supposed to be dealing with sensation from your parts of the face, and now the damage to this part has caused this function loss, etc., etc. So you know now that don't do the relecturing, but be careful about what you pick, what you do not pick, right? So that's all I wanted to stress on, and we, I think, heard it in different ways, and everybody is now good. Whether the activity will utilize the content that was assigned outside of class. Yeah, this is common sense thing, right? If you talked about cranial nerves in your lecture, in your class time, you better be testing on cranial nerves, not the spinal nerves. I mean, the content should match, right? If you are off in class from what you assigned, that's not fair at all. That's what I'm trying to say here. Utilize the content. So stay with the content that you assigned. Okay. So if you talked about cranial nerves only like a little bit in your lecture, but now you're testing them on unnecessary details that was never mentioned, is that fair? You know what I mean? You should have said all the details about the cranial nerves, whatever topic that you're thinking about. It could be the immune system physiology we're talking about. If you said T cells are made here, they mature here, they're released in this fashion, this is how they're activated, all of that should be covered in your lecture. All right. If you only said T cells are formed here, they mature here, they're released here, but then you're asking them about how do they defend the virus in the body. You never talked about it, but you're asking them that question. Is that fair? No. So that's where I really want you to be fair by connecting what you covered in the lecture that you assigned and what you test on the topic that you cover. Do not expand. That would be unfair. All right. Whether it is well suited to the topic course level. So this is important for you. If you are using a strategy, is this strategy the right strategy. Okay, like the questions you write, if it's a factual detail, let it be an individual assessment, a pre-class quiz, then more detail-oriented type of activity for the in-class. So again, you need to be able to tailor these things. All right, pick the right type of activity for in-class and before class. All right, asynchronous activity is where you're touching on simple details, factual details. In class, you're there to help them. So choose a little bit more detail that they have to think through, where you go in and help. Okay, if the activity includes interaction with peers or an individual assignment, again, you can pick that we already talked about, individual or group. The amount of time for individual work and or group work. This is important. This is always a challenge. What if you have 10 difficult questions during a 50-minute session? What if they cannot finish? What happens? How do you balance it? What if you had easy questions? There were 10 questions, but they were too easy and they were able to complete it in 5 to 10 minutes. What would you do? This is tricky. Amount of time. Remember, you have 50 minutes to engage. It cannot be 5 minutes. It cannot be 2 hours. It has to be ideal. Or reduce the number of questions. Those are the type of things you have to play with. You may not know initially how much time they're going to take. You're testing it. What if they finish in 5 minutes? You pull another set of questions and say, hey, by the way, now that you have finished this, maybe I can give you these additional questions to complete. They may not like it, you think? They wanted to get out? Then, next time, this time it's too late. you let them go. But next time you will tell yourself, either you assign 20 questions instead of 10 questions, or make them a little more difficult so that you can keep them engaged longer, right? So it's a matter of testing it and tweaking it. All right, and also depends on the student body that you're working with. Some groups are smart and they can do well, within the time you have allocated. Some are sitting there forever. How do you juggle with that? What if you have a mixed class of, that's where you need to make groups. Oh, that's another set of details we will talk about very soon. Okay, so backup plan if the activity takes longer or shorter than expected. So backup plan, have an additional set of questions or an activity that you really want to keep them engaged, because you really want to make them understand the topic thoroughly. If they have understood everything, great. That means the topic was too easy for you to flip, correct? The amount of time for instruction, review, immediate feedback, we went over it in detail, so we got that. Any questions on this?
I have a question, please.
Yes, Dr. Hassan?
Yeah, my question is, how would you, is there any wrong for an instructor to confess in front of the student, tell the student, these questions were too easy? That's why you finished in a very short time. Is there any harm?
Instead of saying that it's too easy, you would compliment them. Wow, you are a very smart class. Right? You are so good that you could finish it in no time. that makes them feel better.
Good.
If you say they were too easy, you're not appreciating their talent or their knowledge. So you want to praise them a little bit. But your thinking already, your thinking is different from what you're telling them. You're thinking, I should prepare a little bit more challenging questions for my in-class activity.
Thank you.
Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other questions? No? You're good? Okay. So we talked about mini lectures to help clarify pre-class content, to solidify details. Do not lecture the entire time. Do not cover the entire content. So that's my point. And as teachers, when I say do not lecture, it hurts you. Right? You love to lecture. I thought I was the best lecturer that I wanted to be. I mean, that's how we feel, right? We are like so passionate about the subject. I'm like, when I was not going to lecture in class, it made me feel very sad. But now, because I only talk about the difficult topics, they see me in the best situation. They admire the help that we give. So don't feel bad that you will be helping. Omar, you have a question. Yeah.
I'm asking about what is the definition of mini lecture?
Definition of mini lecture. Okay.
Yes.
Mini lecture is where the difficult concept and usually when you ask students, do you have any questions? They should bring those topics. Okay. So remember my immune system example. Initially, I would say non-specific defense, where I would talk about, let me write these two types. These are the two main types of immune functions, non-specific, specific. This is where we talk about phagocytosis, right? And the cells that are already there, the barriers that we have, the enzymes that are there, our saliva, etc., etc. So those are basic details. They will not ask you to repeat that in class. So if I covered non-specific and specific immune systems in my lecture, specific is where you have the B cell and the T cell mediated activity. All right. So then you may have all the basic details like how are T cells formed, B cells formed. They won't ask you that. You can tell classification of B cells, classification of T cells. That is factual detail. They won't ask you about that. Okay. And then how is the activation of B cell? You already know activation of B cell is a difficult topic. So that's what they would ask. And if they didn't ask, what would you do? I'll come to that. T cell activation. So this is difficult. I'm going to bring in another topic. I hope you all understand the example here. And another difficult topic is complement activation. So these are a few concepts you already know they should be asking. You already know they need help. And to your surprise, they would be asking you this question. Can you go over the complement cascade? Can you go over B cell activation and T cell activation? All right. And if they asked you for factual details, you could just direct them. It is covered in the video. We don't need to talk about it here. You can say that, and we will practice that in different ways in class. Wait till then. But if they asked you about these three topics, then I would cover them in class because I really want them to understand it fully. All right. So that's my way of approaching this. And what if they didn't ask? they're too shy, they're not going to talk to you about anything, this is a quiet class. At this point, they should know that if they're quiet, they're at a loss. That you need to somehow convey that. You plainly blurt it out. If you're quiet, I'm not going to lecture. You have to ask me the topics that you didn't understand. You have to kind of, basically encourage them to do this. And then let's say you really didn't get these questions. You're like, wow, you understood the most difficult concepts. Let me ask you this. Can you summarize B-cell mediated activity for me? That question is on them, right? So then one or two students may start saying the story, and then you say, yes, move on. And then you're now writing it on the whiteboard or however you're explaining. And then you say, let's connect the dots here. Okay, so connecting dots. Mini lecture is connecting the dots, difficult concepts. That's all you would be focusing on. Nothing that is factual, simple to understand. Is that helpful, Omar?
Yes.
Yeah, good. So any other questions before we move on? Okay, so now we are doing the assessing part. Okay, how do we test if they have learned these concepts, difficult concepts and the easy concepts? Remember, asynchronous is where you're only assessing the easy, factual, memorization type of details. In class, or the synchronous assessment is where you're assessing the deeper answers and assessing the difficult concepts, right? So that's where the assessment tool to be used to test mastery of material. You have to use the appropriate material. Assessment tool to be used to assess competency for the goal. Are they ready? Are they ready to do this activity? Are they ready to perform this patient assessment? Whatever it is you're making them prepare. Can they use this microscope fully, safely? All those competencies. What students should be able to do at the end of the activity. Okay, they should be able to retell. Okay, they can be synthesizing, being able to fully explain the story back to others in class or to you in whatever way you will be testing them. The sort of feedback students be given, what type of feedback would you give them? Okay, is all something that you need to keep in mind as you prepare the assessments. Any question on this? No. Okay. We talked about think, pair, share. This is good. This is good. In a real class setting, you can ask the students next to you to talk about what they understood or not understood, only for a few minutes. Don't give them too much time. And I can do that here in a breakout room. It's only going to be a quick one. You can open the breakout rooms. Again, it doesn't have to be all organized breakout room. You just open and assign randomly and say what you understood, what you didn't understand. 5 minutes to discuss. All right. So we have played with the breakout rooms already. Do you want to do it again in a random manner? Only 2 per group. If you want, I can let you go and talk about in-class assessment, in the pre-class activities that you have gone over, all of that. Only if you want. Otherwise, we can move on. Any questions?
It's okay, I think.
Yeah, we will skip it. Okay. So it's an informal collaborative learning strategy, a reflection on the asynchronous content is what you ask them to do just briefly. Some of you mentioned it, that you would ask students to discuss it. And yes, that's what we call as think, pair, share. Okay, so now team-based learning. This is an important one. Team-based learning, TBL, is a big deal. It has been used heavily in health profession, as well as in other business courses, etc., etc. Team-based learning, this is now the traditional versus the modern is what I want to talk about. I am not using the traditional approach, but I'm using the more contemporary approach. I'm going to share that with you in a minute. So what is team-based learning? Does anyone know? Do you use it? Two questions, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We are using this strategy in some of our courses,
Yes.
just making a group and giving task to them, maybe during lecture, maybe out of lecture, to prepare something to answer some of assignments together, and then presenting their work in the form of slides or oral discussion, just like that.
Okay, so that is not a traditional TBL, but it is a modified TBL. It's like a group activity, isn't it? Yeah, team-based learning, team is basically group work. You can simplify it like that. All right, very structured group activity is what I would call it. An active learning strategy to support learning in groups. The person who introduced way back is Dr. Michelson, Larry Michelson. I have met him. He brought it to his business class, and then a very formal approach. I'm going to talk about the step-by-step details here. There is a organization called Team-Based Learning Collaborative, a very active group. I have attended it once and I learned a lot. And now that everything is virtual, you can look it up. They meet sometime in March, so the meeting may be over now. If you're interested in attending it next year, hopefully it will be in person and you will be able to enjoy that more. That's the website detail. Okay, so I'm going to show you how that works. So let's take a peek. There are different phases here, as you can tell: preparation phase, readiness assurance process, and then the assessment phase. Hamdi, you have a question? No? No question? Anybody? Have you heard of these terms?
Not used. We have heard, but not used. Routine.
Not used. Very good. Okay. So phase one is the preparation phase. This is where you form the groups. Do you use permanent groups? Anyone?
No, it's a variable.
You don't use permanent groups?
No.
Okay.
Depending upon the sessions, we are just making arbitrarily.
Okay, so they are not permanent groups.
No.
There are pros and cons with making permanent versus not permanent groups. There is a lot of literature around that, but I use permanent groups. I just like the approach, permanent groups. So to make the groups, I would be looking at a couple of details. GPA is their grade point average. In other words, their performance before this class. I want to know where students are. Are they A, B, C type of students? Okay. I would like to bring an A student in every group. Every group should have one good performing student. So that's the reason why I ask this. I also ask students ethnicity. This may not be needed based on the groups in India. I wouldn't ask for their ethnicity. You know what I mean? Everybody is going to be Indian, and there is not much variety. In the United States, you do have different groups, different ethnicities, Chinese and Indians and African American, all these different things and different groups. We want to be able to mix as best as we can. Diversity is, a big, big deal here. Diverse is what I'm looking for. So I purposely ask, what's your ethnicity? And then give them a few options. So if there are some, I need to sprinkle them into each group. And then the gender. And then the last thing I ask is, are they talkative, outgoing or not? Why do I ask that? This is to mix the shy ones with the talkative ones. So you see my point. You cannot have, in your setting, I think you don't have boys and girls in a mixed setting. You can't even do that. So now for us, it's all in one class. So I want to mix as best as possible, equal number of girls to boys, etc. So it's not like boys are dominating, girls are dominating, that kind of thing. So you just have to even it out as best as you can. So this is the strategy I use. I give a survey in the very beginning of the semester. Sometimes along with the course release, I would give the survey also, expect them to complete it. Using their survey results, I make groups. Okay, my group size is 4 to 5. According to literature, 4 to 6 is what we call as a small group setting to be functional. 3 could be done depending on the number you have. Then above 5 or 6 is too many, and below 3 is also going to be difficult. All right, so that's the strategy I use in forming groups. And then there are group roles. I'm going to share that in a minute. Then readiness assurance process. In our flipped teaching setting, we already have this done, that is asynchronous preparation. You give them everything they need to come prepared. All right, so see here, this is where our flip teaching is good. Readings, PowerPoint slides, study guide, practice problems, whatever you want to give for them to come prepared. Phase 3 is the assessment phase. Here, there are 2 tiers of testing. One is individual readiness, and then the group or the team readiness. 2 assessments. And in the flip teaching, we're already doing that, correct? Individually at the factual level, in the team setting, it is more on the deeper level. IRAT is individual readiness assurance test. TRAT is team readiness assurance test. If we didn't use all these names, just call them quiz and group work. That's what I do in everyday survival mode. So we would test that. In a real traditional team-based learning approach, individual assessment questions are the same as the group assessment questions. They cannot be different. So they're on the hard side, usually higher order thinking. Students are given this quiz first individually. Students are literally sweating and not able to answer because they're so hard. But then you give the same assignment again as a group activity, and you see a dramatic difference. The student who was sweaty now is very comfortable because they're all sweating together, right? So now they're all like given this challenge to deal with. They feel good because everybody is the same. Nobody is like extra brilliant. They could answer every question. So they wear their thinking hats and take one piece at a time, solve it, go to the next part. They're able to do it beautifully. And that makes them realize how important the group is, how they help each other, learn from each other. All of that is very, very precious to me to see happen. All right. So I do not follow, I used to follow the traditional method before. I do not anymore. I give one set of questions as individual assessment. They're on the easy side, difficult questions as a group thing. We could try that. Anybody interested in doing that, please go ahead and do it. It's very brilliant thing to do. It's a good experience if you wanted to try. So that's the design. I already mentioned the number heterogeneous. I already mentioned teams are permanent. For me, it doesn't have to be, okay? There are or not, no important for you. It does not have to be permanent. If it's a permanent group, the breakout room on Zoom actually helps you set it up already in the way you have grouped. So all I have to do is to open the breakout room. They are automatically assigned, so they go. What's the beauty of a permanent group? Anybody? You don't use it, so I think it's the wrong question to ask. Do you see an advantage?
Group dynamic, I think it's more there in the permanent group, I believe.
What is that?
Group dynamic, I think it's more. Once they know each other, so once they know each other's strength and the weaknesses, so how they move in a group, it's in a better interaction, and correlation and coordination is better.
Right. They gel so nicely that they become friends, and some of them have become partners at some point. That kind of situation is all there. It is amazing how much they protect their group members is another thing that I noticed, and it's phenomenal. There were other answers.
Actually,
I have a question.
Okay, Mohammed Gonim, you have.
Yes, Dr. Chai. Actually, we are using a permanent group in one course of our curriculum about research. We are making a group of research, and they have to submit at the end of semester one project. And depending on that, we see dramatic change for weak students, really, in presentation. At the end of semester, they have to present their work and face discussions. We saw several times weak students, they are active, they are trying to prove themselves, and there is dramatic change in their level at the end of semester. This is our
in a good way.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, it is in good way, but we didn't use it in other courses, just project only of graduation project.
Well, now you can do that, right?
I will try, inshallah.
I mean, once you start doing it, you will never go back to the random grouping. You will never go back. That's my thought, at least. It's a little bit of work in the beginning, but the advantages are too many for me to let go. Okay, so I would promote permanent groups, but there are other ways of arguing not a permanent group. Some have switched in the middle of the semester so that they get to meet other students in the class, etc. So it is two groups, two times grouping. That is another thought. I just use it for the whole semester. They don't want to be separated. They tell me, we like our groups. Don't change. It's the wish they have, because they want to work. They understand their strengths and weaknesses. And then they, when they're in group, they come prepared better. They don't want to be seen as weak students. There is that peer pressure that makes them come prepared. So it's not me telling them to go prepare. It is their, they want to please their peers, right? Peer pressure is what we call that. Good. So other thoughts?
I have a question, please.
Yes, Dr. Hassan.
You have been stressing on working as a group. I would like to know if I could supplement group into seminars, classes. And secondly, how you didn't mention anything regarding group self-assessment by the group themselves.
Oh, I have that. I have that coming. It comes in a little bit.
Okay, then thank you. Appreciate it.
Seminar class is where you have a topic and you conduct a seminar. How do you do the seminar class? Can you explain that?
Yeah, I can. Usually I have a group of class of 25 students.
Mm-hmm.
And I divide this class male, female. Unfortunately, okay, the female is a small group, not many. They are, I think, 80 females. So okay, what I do, I ask the student to choose a topic mm-hmm. of their own, and then we divide within the two. So the female will talk on one subject, and the male will talk about the same subject. We sit and go and we discuss. Okay. So in the discussion, then we vote. It's like a debate. We vote. I see. It's like a debate. It's like a debate. Then we vote. So my role, I intervene to try to put things together between the two groups.
Okay.
So that's the time when the assessment comes in. And I don't want to make assessment. I allow students to assess themselves.
Right.
So male will assess female and female will assess male. And then I will ask, how did you come to this? For example, they will say, okay, we have assigned B for male, C for female. Okay, how did you come to C? How? Why C? Okay, so I need a student to elaborate further on this.
Yes.
So
yes.
This is my approach I'm using.
That's a good one. That's already a group activity. Now you have two groups out of 25. That yes. means 12 and 13 approximately. If you wanted to do smaller groups, the debate topic, you may have to times2, so that there are 4 groups now. So you have to have 2 debatable topics. Right? That way boys have 2 groups. You can use the same structure you have. It looks like you have an amazing structure going, but the groups are a little bigger than you want, or at least for the boys, because the boys group is bigger, you may yes. want to have 2 topics for them. Girls could be just the same topic as the boys, something like that. So this is where it becomes complicated because the numbers are not even. And because it's a seminar class, even otherwise, yours is a large group activity than a small group activity. You have it well structured, so I don't think you want to change anything. If you wanted to change, you have to think about a new topic, and that becomes a new seminar all in all, right?
The problem is assessment.
Right. So much to build around it is going to be a little bit of a challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, very good, very good. So there is a lot more we talk about group work. Group work. So I heard your university also promotes group work. Is that what I heard? It's nice that the peer interaction again makes them believe that they're a community. They're, they can count on their peers to go to discuss things and be friends with, etc. So there are lots of other advantages that we'll talk about. My class, every course has some group element built in. So I totally believe in the group activities. A leader, recorder, reporter, timekeeper, resource person. These are some roles that you can assign group members. They're not all like exactly how it should be. This is again the team-based learning. The traditional method suggests that, and they're tweaked a little bit in the different resources, different publications, etc. But the idea is the same. You need one person to make sure that other members are all participating, then prepare the content that they need, and then bring the resources they need. Reporter, somebody has to answer the questions, somebody has to take the notes or the answers down as they think through. Timekeeper to make sure things are done in a timely manner. So these are pretty standard titles. Okay, they may be called slightly differently depending on the different resources you would use. And they could rotate among themselves if they wanted, or stick to their roles permanently. I do not want to mess with these types of details. I call this as micromanagement. I tell the groups, I show this to them, and I say, you decide how you want to be working within the groups. If you have trouble in dealing with this, I need to know. If you're all doing well, I don't need to know. So that stays at that point. Nobody comes to me saying this person is mean or hard, etc., etc. Nothing has come up so far. So this is just one standard approach. All right. Any thoughts on this?
Please, bro.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have an experience before in another university. The class was 80 numbers of students. We divided them into 4 permanent groups, A, B, C, D. And each group, regarding the seminar, we give them initial question before the beginning of the seminar. And then we discuss in the seminar the difficult issues about the topic. Mm-hmm. And finally, also we give an evaluation, both final question. This was my experience in previous university, Jordan University. We divided in permanent groups. Mm-hmm. And every group, as I told you, nearly 50 to 20 students.
Oh, I see.
That's our method. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a large group.
But because the class is 80 in number.
Mm-hmm.
But we divide them permanent groups.
Right.
Not all in the same day, no. For example, group A, Saturday, group B, Sunday, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, when you have such a large group, everybody's participation is questionable. Right?
Yes. Yeah. That's why we do for evaluation, initial question and final question.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. Large group versus small group, again, has benefits. Small group is where it's more manageable.
Of course.
Than the large group. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your for monitoring.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Seating assignment. If you have, this is all in class. This doesn't work anymore. Now it's breakout room. So it's just to show you how boys, girls are all selected. And we had, I used to teach a large class of 250 students, where the room could only take 250 students. We didn't have extra room. So we had to make sure that we assign the seats to them so that they sit in their places. And if somebody was left-handed, we would then shuffle the groups before even semester started so that they would be moved to the appropriate one. If they had any vision issues, if they were assigned in the last row in the room, they were moved to the front row. That kind of adjustments were made. Otherwise, making groups was an enormous task at the time because it was 250 students. And I still did group work, but I would have 4 TAs at the time. So I divided the room into 4 blocks. Each one was given about 60 students. That would be what, 15 groups per TA. That's a lot, you know that. In those days, I used 6 students so that it is not too many. I still had like 40 to 50 groups. Now I'm not teaching such a huge class. I hope I won't teach any more such large classes. My largest would be about 40 students now, 50 students maximum. Okay. All right, so that's grouping. Phase 2 is nothing new to you because this is our pre-class in class that we follow in flipped teaching design. Reading assignment and recall of information, mini lecture, whatever that we do, we have already discussed it, so no need to worry about that. So individual readiness assurance test, again, I do it now differently than I used to. So this is how it is in class or prior to scheduled class session. Recall of information, very powerful, careful grade allocation is crucial. What does that mean? Careful grade allocation is crucial. We have talked about this, by the way. This is formative assessment. Don't assign too many points. I may have shown you how I assign a small number, like 5 points per quiz in a grand total of 600 points. This is okay, you know what I mean? But not 50 questions, not 50 points. Do you get it? Don't assign heavy points for quizzes, but give just a few to make sure that they're still encouraged to complete. So 2 tiers of assessment: individual, which is what we have already talked about as a pre-class or in-class individual assessment. So no big deal here. We know what to do for that. So team readiness assurance test is where students in their predetermined groups, not necessarily, as I said, students in their groups, predetermined maybe, complete problem sets or cases, receive immediate feedback. Okay, so this is, as I said, 1 day for me in a class is just to run the group activity and then to provide feedback the next day we meet. All right, so any thoughts on any of this? No. So TBL and its benefits is what we are talking about here. Self-learning because you're assigning the content ahead of time. Collaborative learning, as I said, students love to collaborate with one another. Critical thinking is where you typically assign higher order questions where critical thinking is encouraged, incorporated. into their learning. Peer teaching, there is some magical thing here. You may have done an amazing job, but students still learn well when another student teaches them. So that is peer teaching. I don't know how the peers explain it to one another, but it is more effective, is what I notice. A problem solving, and as I said, one student alone, when they're answering the question, it is difficult. But when they are in group, that group strength is like, it just increases the strength of the group, certainly, and they are more powered to answer the question. Communication skills, this I see, especially when we have Asian students who are very shy and put in a group where they are forced to talk. They have no choice but to be communicating. So that's a big help for them. Accountability in a group members being responsible to do the job they're assigned, and leadership opportunities. These are all great things that come out of group work. Peer evaluation. I know I heard some of you are already doing great evaluations of the peers within the group. Yes, that is a must to keep the group activity going, where everybody is responsible, everybody takes part, right? So what I do is assign 2 peer evaluations, one around midterm, one around the end of the semester. All right, they have to assess their members within the group and give points, explain why they give points, more or less, explain it. That's where I step in and look at the numbers. If they're all good, which is very common, majority of them don't want to hurt their group members, so they generally give them the highest points they can. They just have that buddy thing going. However, things do come out because they cannot protect anymore. They have reached that point where it's not worth protecting. So that's a good thing, right? You're able to learn those that are not able to, that are not participating enough. And even before they assign such points, I would have noticed it. A student who is not doing anything, totally disconnected from the group, what do we do with them? What do we do? I go and prompt the student to participate. If I'm in the classroom, I have nudged the student a few times. If a student is on a phone or whatever, then I clearly tell them phones are not allowed, put them away, not during a group activity, unless they're looking at the slides or whatever. They cannot be on Facebook or other social media. So those are things that you can control when you are in the room, around them, going around, looking at the groups. But remotely, it's a challenge. A breakout room is where I do pop in and out to make sure everybody's participating. I ask, why is your video not on, etc. And still, there are ways they escape. There is that small number of students. I have a class size of about 29 this semester. I had to reach out to 3 students from the first peer evaluation I did because of the poor grades they got from their peers. And I said, this is your group saying that you're not contributing in this manner. And the students usually get back to you saying, I had a family issue, or I had that issue, etc. Then you just have to believe. Otherwise, they live with those scores permanently. Okay, challenges with TBO. Nothing is like perfect, right? Active participation of all students during group work, I just went over it. Formation of groups takes time and effort to do it all properly. Class size, if it's a bigger class size, it's definitely a lot of work. As I mentioned, when I did the 250 student class teaching, it was work. I don't know, but I still wanted to do it and did it. No regrets whatsoever. A new concept of learning for students. So some like it, some don't like it. And some clearly say, why am I doing the work for others? Nobody asked them to do the work, right? They volunteer to do it and they complain about it. Honest peer feedback is another challenge. As I said, typically we shouldn't see any problems, but when students do score them poorly, you already know it's coming, and you need to talk to the students who are receiving poor grades and make sure that they change their patterns of behaviors. Any thoughts on this? No? Classroom layout is another challenge. Some rooms with permanent seats. These days it's all remote, so I think this is redundant right now. But this is my classroom where they could turn the seats facing the other group members. So that's a problem set I had given. They're happily discussing it. So that kind of thing. You can see an Asian and African American, all right? So variety of students there. All right, so traditional versus modified. Traditional is like outdated right now. There is that flag kind of thing that's a scratch card. I don't know if you have even heard about all this. If they scratch the answer once, and if that's not the correct answer, they can scratch another time and another time. So based on the number of times they have scratched, you could see how many times they had to change their minds or think about this problem. So that's the assessment it does. But giving them the card, collecting all of that it costs and old-fashioned stuff. Then they use colored cards or flags to raise their hands, etc. And I don't do any of that. Okay. Here, modified is what I use. Individual assessment is pre-class content assessment, uses lower level of Bloom's taxonomy. Team assessment is higher order of Bloom's taxonomy. No scratch card. So this is my method, but it doesn't have to be this way. It could be the way it's more practical for you. Okay, so I will leave it at that. Any questions on team-based learning? No?
No, Dr. Thanks, it's clear.
No, it was clear. It was clear. Thank you.
Very good, very good. So some group activity is beneficial for you, for your students. So if there is a way, you could bring it in. Now let's talk about case-based learning. A majority of you being in the health sciences field, a quick clinical scenario to get to the content that you want them to know is a good way to teach. I have done cases, I have published cases. You may see some publications. I have many more written but not published. Hopefully one day it will happen. So what is case-based learning? Readiness assurance process, I'll talk about that. Flip teaching or traditional lecture, whatever it is. Then you give some homework questions pertaining to the case, but not the case itself. Then the individual quiz over the homework I read. Then case presentation. Then the case questions. Okay, so these are the steps. I'm going to give you one example. Let's say I am talking about the pancreas. Insulin. That's my focus that week. But then I know I have created a case on diabetes, but I won't tell them. I won't tell the students that the case is on diabetes. It's pretty obvious if I'm talking about insulin and pancreas, but I may have questions, nothing to do with diabetes. I may say insulin resistance, what triggers insulin resistance, and then, consequences. These are my questions. And then the pancreas, etc., would be glucagon. All those will be covered. Insulin secretion mechanism, where is it stored? How is it released? All those things would be in the homework question. All right. So basically, it is you covering the content, you basically stressing the concepts to be relearned or mastered. There is a quiz, IRATIS quiz over this content. Quiz. When they come to the case session, there would be a few quiz questions. Then the case is on DM, diabetes mellitus. So and so, obese and smoking, etc., etc. And now his glucose level is up, that kind of a situation. And they don't have to diagnose the situation. It's already diagnosed. And now the treatment is not the focus in physiology, at least in that course. We just say he's put on this medication or that medication. So in here we say what conditions enable you to believe that he has diabetes. All right, that kind of thing. We don't go into the clinical setting. Basically, we are reiterating the role of insulin. What conditions deviated from normal physiology to be declared as DM is one or two questions only, not too many. So the team would answer those questions like in a short answer question in essay form and submit it. And it's a 2-hour session, the case session that we had. Okay. It was, it's a very effective one too. All right. If you don't have this elaborate method, I would suggest in your group work, just use a clinical scenario and ask one question or two questions. A multiple choice question is fine. You don't have to do short answer question. Any thoughts on this? I have done respiratory, immune system, cardiovascular, hypertension, is one we picked. MI has been covered, thyroid hormones are covered, kidney is covered. So many topics. Just a fun thing. All right, in class assessment, what would be ideal assessments for a synchronous activity? Okay, in classes, synchronous. What are those ideal synchronous assessments? Individual is where poll everywhere. Jeopardy. Does anyone use Jeopardy?
No, ma'am, we have not used yet.
No? There is a website that would allow you to create Jeopardy questions. Okay. Google to find the Jeopardy thing. Very cute in the sense, I don't know if you're familiar with Jeopardy game. It's a fun way for students. You would have 5 themes. Okay. If it's renal, you may say one is all about general anatomy, histology, then you may have filtration, and then reabsorption, and then hormone regulation, that kind of a theme, 4 or 5 themes. Then build 4 or 5 questions in each category. This can be a great way to review the concept. I would strongly recommend. I do have those. I can post one for you to see. But if you want to create one and use it in a class just for fun, something different is where you may amuse the students in a different way. All right. Oh, break time. All righty. So go ahead and have a quick break, and then we will meet. After this, it's the review of your work, pre-class assignment assessment. So come back in 10 minutes. It's 7:51. So 7:51 for me, it's 2:51 for you. Am I right? Is it 2:51?
2:51, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so we will meet at 3:01 or so.
3:01, okay.
All righty, see you then. Dr. Tariq?
Yes, Professor.
Oh, great to see you. I didn't
No.
expect you there. How are you?
Fine, alhamdulillah. Everything is okay?
Yes, yes. I mentioned your name today during the session.
Yeah.
To tell the group to join you in writing the guideline.
Yes, good. Yes, actually I'm working on it, but we are a little bit busy, exams and accreditation process, etc. But inshallah, I will be working on it. I will try also to share it with other people so that they can contribute with us.
Correct. So it would be an entire group.
Yes. Actually, I was, yes, I just wanted to comment on a very important thing. During this discussion, actually, it was very clear that the problem is in the making student accountable and making student engaged to the activities, to the pre-class and to the in-class activity and or what we call the asynchronized and synchronized activities. So the problem of engagement and accountability, I think, should be addressed, because usually it is the problem that will make things go forward or fail.
Right.
So, yes, yeah. Another important thing they mentioned the mini lectures.
Right.
I think also mini lectures, yeah, they are good, but we should not rush to them at the start of the activity. So we should we should have a good probing for the situation. So you will see where are the gaps and you can address them with these mini lectures. I think it will work this way. But if you start with the mini lecture, then you will change the setting to lecturing.
Right. Then they won't come prepared.
Yeah.
No?
So I think another thing is during the planning phase of these activities, I think we have to have a good map for the activity. For example, you should know exactly what is general knowledge, what is just recall, what requires more discussion, etc. So that you consider this when you are designing the engagement activity, the pre-class and the assessment and the readiness assessment during the class activity, etc. So the instructor should have good insight about his subject or his session. Okay, that will deliver as flipped class. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I have another participant from another project who has written what not to do in a flipped classroom. So I thought if you have the guideline of what to be doing, and if I can combine that with what not to be doing, it would become a really good article.
Yes, sure.
She has already written it. So if you have something together, then we could combine these two and then publish it.
Okay.
Yeah, what not to do.
Exactly.
It's equally important. Yeah. Great to talk to you. How is your mentee doing? You have two mentees, right? Or one?
Yeah, one.
One, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is your mentee?
Hamdi.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very good. And thank you for joining. I didn't expect you to be present, but it's good.
Okay, thank you.
All righty.
I'm back.
Dr. Hassan, how are you?
Doctor, nice to hear your voice, really.
Oh, hello, Kef, Doctor. How are you doing?
We missed you for a while.
Yeah. No, how was it?
You're asking me, Doctor?
Yes.
Oh, it has been excellent so far. Yep.
Good.
So far, it has been excellent.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. Yeah,
Very interesting and challenging as well.
Yes, yes. But I think it is the easiest way for student centeredness.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right, time to get back. Are we ready?
Yes, I think.
Good. We'll get going. All right. So you're talking about challenges and all that with flipped teaching. Some things to think about, when we choose the content to flip, especially if you're flipping only part of the semester, not the entire semester, you have to be able to pick the chapters or topics that are appropriate for flipping. If there is a chapter that is full of factual details, that may not be the best one. That may be good for assigning the content. There may not be much to test them like a case discussion, etc. You may just have to make them repeat those details in class. That can be a little bit boring. Whereas another topic, a storytelling type of topic, is where it's good. So why did you target this particular content? Is where there are many reasons you may have picked it. Is it the terminology or the basic material that needs to be mastered so that you can be helping them think through the layers? Is it an important concept that can only be retained or contextualized after it is applied to a problem? So those are the topics that are ideal. Is it a point of misconception for students and needs to be covered multiple times? So these are things that you should consider before you select your flipped content, if you have a choice. For me, because I flipped the entire semester, I don't have to think about all these things. I do 100%, right? But there may be a day where it's mostly conceptual details and they need extra help, or there may be a day when there is a lot of memorization, or it's a combination of both. So all those sets of things are possible in the entire semester of flipping. If you have the partial flipping option, then pick the ones that you think are more difficult, where repeating many times is ideal. All right, that would be helpful. Any other things that you would consider? When you're deciding what topics to flip? No?
For me, I would consider the time. How long would it take for students to engage and to concentrate on the flipped lecture?
So which one would you pick? The one that takes longer or the one that takes shorter?
The one that takes shorter.
If it takes shorter, why would you flip? It's easy, right? If it's a short concept, is it even worth going through all this? You can just lecture in 5 minutes and be done.
When I say short, I don't mean 5 minutes. Actually, I don't mean 5 minutes. I mean shorter, like 1 hour. That's what I mean.
Then I have to ask you the other question. What if it's a longer one? What do? You just want to go and lecture? That's even worse.
No, I'll break it down.
Break it down into 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Into groups, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
Then that's a good one.
Yeah.
Both have to be flipped then, shorter and longer.
I think at the time.
So what I understand you say is the content that you're thinking about is if it's a longer one. I'm going to use my renal physiology or respiratory physiology, or even cardiac physiology. There are multiple topics, right? So you said shorter. Shorter is 1 hour. I would say physiology of pregnancy. I stopped writing. Something happened here. Pen is not cooperating. Okay. Physiology of pregnancy. So this is just one ideal lecture for one sitting. So that, my writing is going bizarre here. Okay, sorry about that. Then the cardiac physiology. This is where I have a lot going on. All right, so what do I do? How do I handle this? This would be over 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. This would be my 1 week. I just have to reorganize it. Call it cardiac part 1, part 2, part 3. And the other one just in one go, right? So again, it's how you organize the content. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. You just have to tell the students where the focus is, which week, and only assign those that week. Any other thoughts? What are some of the issues that we encounter? Some of them may be discussed already, but they're part of both asynchronous and synchronous. So it's worth mentioning the problems. Student buy-in, faculty buy-in. Okay, student buy-in. How do we convince students to believe in this teaching method? Okay, there is some selling pitch. They don't understand. I told you this right in the beginning, how I had resistance from students that I had to overcome, and it was a happy ending. And I continue to do this here and there. Whenever I see some issues, I have to make it a point to explain why this method is bad. Okay, sometimes it's not required at all. It's an easy sale. Student preparation prior to in-class activities, it's always a challenge. We talked about that. Will the student have the motivation to work through material? How will the student manage time? Will the student engage with the material deeply or superficially? Time commitment by the instructor to design. This is another challenge. Your time commitment. Do you have the time to devote?
That will be usually only for the first time.
Yes, yes. Well, once you prepare your in-class materials and realize it's not as you wanted, you may have to revise. So there is some elements that you will still be touching on, replacing, right? A few rounds of changing is needed. Okay. I must tell you that I had memorized my lectures when I did not flip. This is decades back when I first started teaching. I knew my entire semester's worth of lecture. I did not have to think. I would go in, do a beautiful job of lecturing. There was a quiz, I would grade that, and I was done. That was easy. Then why do I have to go through all this? Right? You ask, why would I do that? And then you realize, this is not for me. This is for students that we have to think about, right? Yeah. So time commitment is there in the beginning, yes. And then the benefits also make you be encouraged to do that. Class size is an issue. Most of you don't have a humongous class size, so I think you can all do this. As I mentioned, 250 students was not an easy class, but it can still be done. It's more work. Classroom layout, the group work, etc., requires some rearrangement of the classroom. There are fancy tables, etc., that have come to make the classroom be an appropriate one for a flipped classroom and group work, etc. So that, I know your university being a fairly new one, I'm sure you have the chairs and tables that can be moved around and rearranged, kind of thing. Ours is an older university. There are just a handful of rooms that allow us to do this. But still, whatever you can do within the limit you have is still worth it. Setting student expectations, explain the reason. This is all mentioned before, how students can best approach the new format, let students know how they benefit, emphasize student responsibility in coming to class prepared. And sometimes it's the peer pressure that does that. That's why I was telling you not to lecture in class, because once you start lecturing, they don't come prepared. That's one huge drawback of lecturing. The student motivation can be affected by this you have seen already: instructor enthusiasm, positive atmosphere, activities that are challenging but are achievable, course being relevant and linked to their future success. This is not new to you, right? So good. This is where optimization of flipping frequency and allocation of points for formative assessment. This is a busy one for me to go over here. I can use the tablet to talk about it. How would you budget points for your final grade that you have to give? So how many points do you normally assign for a course? Normally, it may vary from
varies from course to course. Yeah, on an average, you can say 4 to 6 credit hours in medicine.
Okay, so I'm going to show that as a beginner, you may do partial flip, right? Question is, do you want to flip in the beginning, or do you want to flip in the middle, or do you want to flip in the end?
That's what actually, ma'am, the point which I was thinking while selecting the topic for flipping. I think we should also look into the level or year, which year students you are selecting, or the course is conducted at what level. Because usually here in our college, the students who are coming now at the foundation level or first year are very immature. They are directly coming from high school. It might not be situation, I think, in some other universities or in US, where so many times many graduate students are also coming to you in the first year. So depending upon the maturity of the students, I think we should go into the year 2 or 3. You should start flipping from the year 2 or 3, where they get some maturity and they learn about the learning techniques and all those things.
You can argue here, right, Muhammad? You can argue. You can say, show them flip teaching is the only way you would teach. Then they get used to it, and then there is less problem convincing them later. Okay,
Yes.
I'll tell you my current place and what is going on. I teach my graduate course. They are going to be future CRNAs. You know what CRNAs are? Do you have that? These are nurse anesthetists. Okay, very highly paid job. So there is a huge demand for this program. Okay, they're almost challenging the anesthesiologist job in America. It's that kind of a thing right now. Okay, anyway, they're very bright students. First semester is when they work with me. They take physiology. And then this is all flipped. Once they get used to this, they want more flipped. All right, so the demand is so severe that the whole program now, I'm training the nurse anesthesia faculty. This entire group has decided to go with flip teaching. So the demand by the students, we are going to be flipped. Okay, so students spoke, and is it my fault? And they probably thought it was my fault because the demand was so bad that the new faculty that were here could not keep up with it. So this is student demand, asking for more flipped. The whole program is now going to be using flip teaching. Do you see how that would help you in the future? So first year students, not mature, I agree. I am also in an NSF grant project, NSF project. Here, we are collecting data right now. This is STEM faculty, STEM meaning, the science, technology, engineering, math students. We are collecting data. What it's showing is very interesting. First and you call them as freshmen. First and second year students, not as strong with flip teaching third and fourth year students are finding flip teaching manageable, adaptable, successful, all of that. So this is our data. It's not published yet. It's just so new. Your concern is our concern. And we are looking at how do we, make this happen at the first and the second year level. There are some theories. I just wrote down these theories. Time on task, paired with inclusive teaching style. So, if you are the only one doing it, they may not like it. Everybody has to do it. So those are all theories that we are looking at to focus on improving first and second year experience. So as a university, I see how you are moving in the direction of flip teaching. And if you start at the first year itself, you're setting the bar high, and the students are preparing at that level, and they would continue at that level. Okay, so that is the level. If you're doing it at the semester level, what I was looking at was within the semester, whether it's first year, second year, third year, it doesn't matter. Where do you do the flip teaching? Is it the first half, or the first third, first fourth, or the mid fourth? So again, depends on what topics you want to flip.
Definitely.
And then all that. I would suggest one thing though, that is, if you introduce flip teaching in the beginning, students get used to your style. They are copycats. Let me tell you, whatever you ask them to do, they do it. That's how the student's mind is set. They just follow your mindset and say, oh, my teacher likes to ask these questions, so I want to learn only answers to this. That kind of a game is what they play, right? So knowing how they think, if you use flip teaching in the beginning, they get used to it. Then you switch in the middle, they may not like it. You know what I mean? So whatever you want to do, hit it hard right in the beginning, let them adjust to it, stick to it. That way, if you were to change to lecture style later, what happens? I don't know. I don't do that. So you have to tell me. So think carefully when you're planning it. And sometimes people do one session here, one session somewhere else in the semester. That's very confusing for students. It has to be very well communicated. You can do it, but they get confused. They may not come prepared because they're not used to coming prepared when they're supposed to be coming prepared. That kind of challenge is there. So flipping the entire semester probably is a good thing, that we don't have to deal with it. Any thoughts on this? I had some hands up before. My journey is what I would say, first of all, when I initiated first time, it was partial. Okay. And then when I say partial, I didn't do the flip teaching right away. First, it was lecture style, and then the flip teaching. All right, I did that for about 2 semesters. While I was doing the partial, for the second half, I was also building the content for the first half. Then I went with full. And that's the way it is now, full flip. All right. The points that I may have shared this with you before. I always have individual assessment as quiz, and then the group work, that's group assessment.
in class.
Yes, yes. And then 4 major exams. This is a standard for me. You can do whatever that works for you. These are 400 points. This is 100 points. This is 100 points. If I have 16 weeks, I would have 16 of these, 16 of these, 4 of these. Out of 16, I may tell them that I would pick 10 best. 10 best. So there is that cushion that I have created. These are formative assessments. By the way, I may not have 16 assessments per group. It may be 15, it may be 14, depending upon the semester. Sometimes we have spring break, sometimes we have Thanksgiving break. So it may be less than 15. I can always squeeze a quiz, but group work is a little bit hard because you need solid time to do that. Here I can build an online quiz and call it an individual assessment. More the merrier for them. This is again amazing how they want more assessments. They get used to, they get addicted to these assessments. Can we have more quiz? Can we have more group work? Have you ever heard of that? It may sound strange to you that they're asking for more things, but they know that by asking for more, they can drop more of this, and that's fine. They're practicing so much more. So this is 100 points, 100 points, 400 points. All right, this is my way of looking at it. So don't give too many points for these individual and group assessments, formative assessments. Still, it is worth, if they did very well in this, they only have to pass 2 exams, right? To be able to get at least the passing grade. Anyway, so you got the idea. The 70% in one class, undergrad class, 70% passing. My graduate class, though, is 85% passing grade. So that's where they're very nervous about any assessment. Okay, so any question about this before I do something else? And, if things don't work out, try something different. And that's what I wanted to show here. Let's move on. I'm also going to show you some scary thing. I hope it doesn't scare you. Flip teaching, design, and implementation. This is my own classroom and my own students and how they gave me the end of the semester evaluations. And when I did the lecture style in my first semester at the current place, black is all good, meaning great scores. It's like out of 5, I may have gotten 4. This is like, strongly agree. This may be neutral, or I don't agree, something like that. Okay. When I did the partial flip, what happened? Oh my goodness, this is a story I have to tell you also. I flipped 3 times a week. This is a bad choice. I didn't know. Remember I said partial flip, my classmate on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I wrote a quiz and group work Monday. Quiz, group work Wednesday. Quiz, group work Friday. That was a lot going on in 1 week. Do you see how crazy I was? And my students were so great. They never, ever complained that they were doing too much. I was also so excited about this whole thing. I was flipping crazily 3 times a week. I mean, this is when I learned. And the end of the semester evaluation, what happened? Boom, look at this. When I did it 3 times, they were very good. They never expressed any frustration. But the end of the semester course evaluation is where they told me they did not like it. They wrote that it was too much work. It was too much work. That's all they were saying. It was too much work. That was 3 times flipping. And then that gave me a time to think something is wrong. What is that I need to do? So this is important for you. Don't do this at all. Never do it. So what I did was to bundle it. So weekly bundle is what I created. This I still follow. 1 quiz, 1 group work. That's the assessment I do. That means everything is packaged in such a way that if it is cardiac part 1, where I have 1 quiz on Monday, 1 group activity on Wednesday, review of these things, etc. on Friday, but never ever 3 quiz, 3 group work. Look what happened. They didn't complain. It nicely went up. Isn't that? These students are telling you the truth. I want you to see from my mistake how it can affect your student evaluation. I don't know if it matters to you in your institution, if students are complaining, but it was my mistake that made me rethink and redesign my flip teaching. All right. Then I started flipping the entire semester. Then no problem. It only went up. See, this is the ceiling here, 5. So I probably have reached that now, and I have no issue anymore. When COVID happened, it is somewhere here. Students are learning remotely. They're not happy. I don't know if it is like this for you guys, but in our institution, it's not only my class. This is my class I'm talking about. I also run this NSF grant where I have 24 faculty and 24 classrooms data. They all look like this, maybe even steeper than this. You know what I mean? And so now COVID happened last March. It's now over a year. So we have seen 3 semesters of data, at least 2 semesters, spring and last fall. So it has not improved. It is about the same. You get it? So spring and fall, this is COVID influence. COVID students are not happy. If it happened in your institution, I won't be surprised, because when they see you in the classroom, it's a different type of relationship versus when they see you remotely. And that connection is not as strong, and their connection with learning has gone weaker. That's my observation from what I see, not only in my class, but also in other classes. Okay, so that's the story I wanted to share. Now it's your work samples. What I did was to go through some of your work the way we discussed. I'm only going to make sure that everything is correct. You want to tell me, Muhammad, if I have been correct? I looked at your new video and you are there. That was very impressive. You added slides, quiz, just too good. So that is good. Anything else I have missed out on?
No, that's right. That's all I submit.
Beautiful. Hiba, you want to talk about anything you have done differently than last week?
Yes, I have correct. I have repeated the slide because the slides wasn't shared.
Right. I didn't see them, I think. Is it shared on Moodle?
No. It was a problem in Teams. But now I use Zoom to record.
Okay, have you recorded any?
Yes, yes, I have loaded them yesterday.
Is it on Moodle?
I don't understand. Is it what?
Is it uploaded on Moodle?
Yes, yes.
Okay, you want to share it?
Now?
Yeah, is it possible, or you want me to take
Yes.
you there?
Yeah, no, I can share it from my device.
Okay, okay, that would be great. You can share. This is just a little
Yes.
1 second or whatever. Anything else you may have replaced would be great.
No.
Everybody can
I actually made an embedded pop questions inside
Oh, that would be great.
Yes,
You may want to show us that, and let's take the quiz with you.
Yes, okay. Just a minute. I know.
Or I can take you to Moodle and you can show me where it is and we can open it.
Okay.
You want me to do that?
Okay.
I'll take you to Moodle. I need to first get it ready here. Hold on. I was logged in. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I have reached it. I can.
Okay, good. Then you can share it.
Okay. You are hearing now? Do you hear, doctor?
Yeah. The video is not playing though.
No, it's playing, but my voice is low. I have. I don't know you hear or not.
Okay.
It has start now.
The video itself is not showing. It's just the
downloaded image.
Yeah, you can double click. That way it can take up the screen. Is it possible?
Yes, I will do it again. Share. No, I can share. I don't know what is the problem. Maybe you can.
Okay, I'm going to share this. I'm going to share your course and you can help me find it. Okay. So I am here. Do you see your course page? Okay. Where in here would we have your work grades, I think? Is where I have to go. Is that correct? No?
In assignment 2.
Assignment 2? Yes. Where is that? FCM?
Yes, in FCM, assignment number 2.
Where is that? Where is that?
Scroll down.
Yes, down.
Still below. Right side.
On the main page, scroll down on the main page little bit.
On the main page.
Just below this, yeah. On the right side now.
On the
yeah. Below. Still scroll down.
Yes, and this week.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, in assignment 2.
Assignment 2. Okay. Yes. So here, where would I find it? Okay, there it is. All right. This is HEBA.
Yes.
HEBA flipped lecture. Yay. There you go. This one, right?
Yes. All the slides over there is the slides and the in-class cases and the pre-class cases.
I saw it. A recorded lecture. I already opened it. Let me see if I can pull it up. Downloads, recorded lecture. Yeah, it's here. I don't know if you can see the recorded lecture. Do you? Or you may be just seeing the
You should download first, but I have a
copy.
Do you see this?
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, I'll share
I'm
it.
Dr. Hiba Rifat, Assistant Professor of Microbiology and Immunology. Today, inshallah, I will discuss with you the microbial diseases of skin and wound.
All right.
This is the first
So this is 40 minutes.
We will discuss the diseases.
So some here.
Bacterium acne, if they gain access.
So what you have done is to go over the same lecture again.
Yes, I have add the previous chart to collect or to summary all of the content of the lecture at the first.
Very good. Very colorful.
After this slide, I think there will be or before
simplified. This is a healthy.
No. Before of that is a pop question regarding the previous.
What's the meaning of
before
acne?
this, right?
Generally looks like what characterized by the presence of pimples.
So before this is the quiz.
No, before that.
Before this, I see a quiz or something.
Yes.
No.
No.
Okay, this is the quiz.
No. It's not a quiz, it's just a Bob question. You should answer in the model.
And
in the model.
Bacterium acne.
Just to write the symptoms of the diseases. Before, no. Maybe if I open the slide, it will be more easy because
I see. Don't worry about it. You got the idea.
Anthrax, in Arabic, we called it.
Very nice, right? Very colorful. It's not moving anymore, is it? Yeah, it is moving. All right, beautiful.
So is the reference. I add the reference book.
Nice.
Yes, the chapter they should read to cover this part.
Very good. So any additional thoughts you wanted to share with the group?
Actually, before I have no more information about flipped. I thought it will be more easy, but now after we have discussed that all of the in-class activity, I think it will need more of preparation and group assignments and how to engage more students more. It will need more efforts, and maybe just a traditional way is the most easy one. So because I need to involve them. Actually, I am afraid now that I should have a huge bank of questions to cover all of these parts, and at the same time, it should be away from the questions I will use in middle or final exams.
So, are you worried about all that now?
Yes, I'm worried now about questions because sometimes. The items, especially in microbiology, they are direct information. I want to ask whether about symptoms, causative agent, how to prevent. So those items as a questions, I think it will be in the benefit of a student because at the final exams, they will not be shocked by any type of questions.
Right, absolutely. So you're saying I am sorry if I have scared you.
No.
What do we do now? You want to run away from this? You don't want to do flip teaching anymore?
No. As we said, if I start with just 2 topics each semester.
Yes.
And it will come to that all I am familiar with. I have prepared the flipped content for all of the content, and it will be. And actually, I showed this course because I feel every time when I start talking about disease number 1, 2, 3, I feel that the students, they are shocked by every disease I see. I'm telling them about new microbe, new symptoms, new lab diagnosis, new prevention methods. They are shocked. But if they are engaged in the information from the start, it will help more to memorize them and so on.
Beautifully said. Yes. It's the realization, right? You want to help, but it's a lot of work. I went through that. you're going through it now. And over time, you know, in a few years, when I talk to you, you would be so happy that you did it. Well, thank you for sharing this. This is amazing. Any thoughts for Hiba's work, anybody? You are the ones giving feedback, not just me. Just let Hiba know whatever you're thinking.
It's a wonderful lecture, what actually she has prepared. Only thing as from your previous comments, Erika, if she can appear in the video, that will be more
Yes.
interactive. Yeah.
Okay. Can you do that? I mean, there may be some cultural limitations. I don't know if I should be pushing all the time.
Yeah.
If you're present in the video, it helps, at least in the beginning. If you can show who you are in the lecture, that would be
Yes. I'm
helpful.
wearing niqab. I don't know if it will help or not. I think by niqab it's not. Students will not be. It will have no difference whether to appear or not.
Literature says it helps.
Okay. So
And my students have said I should be there. Not because of the way we look or anything. It's just the teacher presence.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So if you can do it for the future ones, at least appear here and there, it would be helpful. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your work.
Thanks, Doctor.
Yeah, amazing. So now let's look at the slides and see who is there next. It's in the same order before. So let's see what all we did. You already had your video, 2 lecture videos, 42 long and no slides. Oh, this is the one you replaced.
Yes. Yes. And I only make the first part to make it smaller.
Right, and this one is shorter.
Yes.
This is 42 minutes still. Yeah, and you had a different name before because it was somebody else's. Is that you?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So all of that is gone now, right? It's just a great finish. I like it a lot. Anybody else wants to say anything? Cool. So now let's move on to the next one. Nazreen, Omar, are you here? No submission so far. So we will have to wait till next week. I will have to ask Nazreen. At least I didn't see it in the Moodle page. So if she has it somewhere else, she's not here today to share. We will wait till next week. Then let's go to the next one. Shahabuddin, let's see. Is there anything to be shared here? Any thoughts?
I added the assessment. My issue was with the poll everywhere. I tried for 2 days. I tried to watch YouTube and follow the steps. But I was not able to execute a quiz on poll everywhere. So I put it in my course and put a link here in the your assignment too.
Okay. So there is. Okay, let's go and open it quickly.
Yeah, please.
And if you want to work with me and poll everywhere, we can do that outside another time.
Sure.
We can go over it.
Yeah, that will
all
be
right. So let me share the course page.
Okay. In the assignment.
So I need to go back.
Yeah, one step back.
Next page, I think, right?
Yeah, next page.
Okay. This one here. This is the one?
Yes.
This is the lecture.
No, all the assignment is there. You
Oh,
see,
everything is here. Yeah.
this is the new assessment I have put.
Okay, so.
You have to click on the picture above.
Oh, look at that. That's cool.
So it will take you to the quiz, hopefully, if you are in my course.
Yeah, I saw this. I didn't see the quiz. Continue.
You are on my course now. Just press the. No.
Yeah. Did you all? Are you all able to see the screen?
Yeah. We are able to see.
Yeah, we are seeing the screen.
Okay, where is it in here? This is what I found. Where is the quiz?
You should be enrolled for that. That's the problem here. You should be enrolled in my course.
Oh, I see. I opened it and I didn't see anything, so I didn't know what to.
Dr. Shahab, you can add actually. I'll tell Dr. Shahab that you can add Dr. Chaya over there.
Yeah, I discussed this with Professor Al-Mardi, and he said that he's going to add all of us.
I see. Okay.
But it will be a great help, Dr. Sharik, if we can add on our
Yes,
own.
yes. Fine.
Sure.
Right. And
can I share the quiz now from my screen?
Yeah, you can share it. That's why I was like wondering if you can share it. Okay, go ahead.
Please, let me alone. So I'm sharing now.
Great. There you go.
So where is my assignment? Yes. So we're following the same step here.
Yep.
Without the instruction, I click on this quiz. It's supposed to take you to my course page where the quiz is there. This is the quiz here.
Okay.
And once we start, for me it is showing preview, but for the student it should show attempt.
Right.
So sample question, I tried different questions here. This is the way.
Oh, so cool.
So you have to just label the different receptors.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
So if I place it wrong, it will go back. It's an instant feedback here, not the default.
Right.
So I'm putting the right answers here actually. So
drag and drop.
Oh, that's so cool. We have this in all everywhere. We can do that.
That way, this will be the first question. Then most of the other questions I tried for were fill in the blank or MCQs actually. So here is another one.
Very good.
So
you don't have to answer. just a good example, right? A great example. So
and the feedback is there instantly. You can see here. You can check the answers. That was because it is formative, not a summative assessment. Feedback is instant here.
I see. Very nice.
So this way I have tried. Most of the.
Excellent. So any thoughts, anybody? We have seen two great examples. Right? One was the video, one is the quiz. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah, I'll stop here.
Excellent. Very good. So let's see who would be the next lucky person here. So what would I say? You instead of the poll everywhere, you had to build one on Moodle. Yeah. This is the challenge still. We can work on it. I'll show you how to do that. And then you did a Moodle displayed. So very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Then I saw some additional details, Mohammed. This is
separate
quiz. It was just uploaded as a document.
Yes, this is only missing from the last time.
Yeah, so that's great. You would give it in a class, you said?
Yes.
You would give a paper copy?
Yeah.
Okay. Omar, you have anything to add here to your collection?
Yes, bro. Regarding me, I did. It was just voice or sound over the slides.
Correct.
I did the video.
You did? I didn't see it. Is it uploaded?
was big size, and I think I sent you
You
the
did send me that.
part of the WhatsApp.
Okay. Do you want to share?
Unfortunately, not here in the other.
This is replaced now, right?
But the problem is, I think over 300 megabyte. I don't know how to upload.
So the easiest one is to move to YouTube.
YouTube, yes.
Yeah, replaced using Zoom, right? You use Zoom?
No, I did the video using the recent 365.
Oh, I see. I see. You got an MP4 file, right?
Yeah.
MP4 file?
No. I mean, I did through the Microsoft Office 365.
Microsoft.
Okay, so the file format has to be MP4 for you to upload it to YouTube and then upload it to the course page.
Big size.
Too big. When you put it in YouTube, it would be just a link. The size won't matter at all.
What other solution I can change or convert it to another
Right.
before?
Right. Otherwise, students will have the same issue. They can access your video because it would be too big for them to download.
So what's the solution here?
Solution is to your institution would have a place for you to store the big video and stream the video, or we can put it on YouTube. YouTube allows you to upload the video and then you get a link that you can share.
Can I add something?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. For Dr. Omar, actually, after finishing recording the PowerPoint presentation or voice over the slides in PowerPoint presentation, then save the PowerPoint presentation in MP4 format. You can go to save file, and then you select MP4. When you change the PowerPoint presentation into MP4, it will be very small, actually, and you can upload it into the Moodle, or you can upload it to the YouTube.
Thank you.
Don't upload it as a PowerPoint.
I will try. Okay. Thank you very much.
It will be easier. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
See, this is the beauty of sharing your work here, because there will be other solutions. So if it's not an MP4 file, create an MP4 file. And when you upload it to Moodle, Moodle will take up a lot of Moodle memory will be used. That's where we don't, at least in our institution, they don't encourage us to put the MP4 file as is, but to convert it into a link. So that's where our school has TechSmith Nomia to keep the videos in-house, but I use YouTube. I know that kind of option is there.
But Prof, I sent for you part of that video, and I also put assessment and also the review of what is the book, the name of the book and the pages number.
Right.
For you in the WhatsApp.
Okay.
That was missing the video and the assessment and the review.
All right. So if you want to convert it into a YouTube video, I'll be happy to show how to do that. Or if you have IT people in your institution, they could easily show you that too. That way you can once you know how to do it, it would be the same thing. All right. Is that good?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, Kadri, yours is all done. You don't have to do anything, right? Nothing new now.
Apart from it, actually, last time I have added the YouTube video with the embedded quiz. And one more extra thing I did, I have added one more pre-class quiz now on the Moodle.
Oh, I took that, I think. Is it the cardiac physiology quiz?
Yeah, cardiac physiology quiz. One more quiz on the Moodle I have added there. Just
Okay,
an
I hope
extra
I
thing,
answered the questions right.
I didn't check it.
And then you said you added something else?
I just added one more extra quiz on the Moodle, apart from the embedded questions, which you have seen.
I saw
have
it.
added one quiz on Moodle now, just pre-class. And they need to attend a day before the class. So they will get an idea where they are staying. And also I will get the idea that where my class is at the performance level, how is their preparation.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Hassan, are we here? I think we are going to be out of time. We can review the rest of them next week. I may shuffle the order so that the ones we have reviewed can be in the end and the ones we have not reviewed can be in the beginning. So what I would do, Mona updated a new video, etc. Basically, great examples to share and appreciate, right? Let's look at what you had to do before next week. This time, create your in-class assignment for the session. You create for all the sessions you will be doing, but share one sample assignment and one sample assessment on a model for us to see. Okay, so an assignment could also be an assessment. If it's a case discussion, is the way you engage students. All right, a discussion happens first, and you may have questions on the case as an assessment, correct? So that kind of thing. And our session is next week. I'm sorry, we are meeting so quickly. You don't have much time to prepare, but I think you wanted it to be over with so that you could focus on other things. So that's your homework. And I look forward to seeing them, sharing with them. We will do the same drill where you would be talking about your work. All right. Thank you all. Any other questions you may have?
Thank you very much, Dr. Chaya.
You're welcome.
Thank
Have
you.
a good
Thank
week.
you.
Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Chaya.
Get in touch with me.
I was
Great to see
wondering.
you all. Yeah, please.
I was wondering if I can update mine for the next presentation, the one you just presented, if I can, because I wasn't able to upload mine. So I could see I have done a lot of good things there, and I would like to update it.
Okay, where would you update that? On Art on Moodle or on Moodle? On the slide?
I have, yeah, this is what, first of all, with my questions, I have created questions, and also I have updated the plan, which I did the first time in my second assignment. This one is, I feel is much better compared to the first one. So I would rather try to update it if you allow me to.
You could. Can you do it on Moodle?
Yeah, I will try to do that on the model. I'll try to do that.
Yeah. That way it will all be in one place.
Yeah.
And then we can share it next week.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Thank you, Dr. Shaya.
Oh, you're welcome, Hasnan. Take care.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Prof.
See you next week.
Oh,
See you, inshallah.
Yeah. Bye-bye.